Darkness held him first, the soft humming kind, the kind that feels like the world is holding its breath. Somewhere in the darkness, a small child listened. Now he didn't know what he was listening for, only that the adults were whispering in awestruck tones, like they whisper in when something important is happening. A glow rose in front of him, faint at first, and then it bloomed into a hard rectangle of brilliant light, as if a doorway had just opened in the sky above him. As he gazed at the screen with unbridled anticipation, a small Caucasian man stood before the brilliant light. His silhouette was so stark, it seemed to be cut from the brightness surrounding him. He looked impossibly large from this angle, shoulders squared, head tilted. He seemed to be listening to something that only he could hear. The child continued to stare, transfixed. The man turned, paused, and lifted his chin. And then, suddenly, the light swelled, washing past the screen. The frame dissolved, the whole room dissolved, and the child was yanked violently forward as if the dream wanted him closer. Suddenly, he was outside, but not the outside world. He was on a large movie set. Yeah, he was outside, but this was a movie set. He recognized this from all the trips he had taken to set with his parents. His parents had told him that they were filming a secret movie that only special people like themselves were aware of. But other than that, they didn't tell him much. You see, little Truman Castle spent much of his time either playing on the playground or at the ice cream shop. Sometimes he spent a little time at the toy store. And who are we kidding? The majority of his time was spent on virtual reality games. But never talking about their work, because to him, like any 8-year-old child, their work was boring. The sounds were louder now, the shouts from all the people around, staring at the silhouette in the doorway. The air was colder, sharper. The smells of metallic equipment were all around him, as well as the faint ozone of the hot lights. He knew where to look because his father had often showed him where they were located, in the seemingly pristine sky. When he looked up, the floating rectangle was no longer an image on a screen. It was right there in living color. The man who had once filled the frame was now a small dot against a bright, beautiful sky. But even as a small dot, the figure was unmistakable. The way he held himself, the way he hesitated, the way he turned back toward the world that he was leaving. Truman Castle already knew this was the man who he had been named after, the star of the secret show, Truman Burbank. Just then, a burst of light flared from the sun with a blinding pulse and landed squarely on the silhouette. A voice boomed from the sun. Though Truman Castle knew it was a set, this still surprised the young man. The voice seemed like many waters. It was so loud, the very bass of it prevented little Truman Castle from hearing the words that were said. The tiny figure in the doorway of light lifted its chin to speak. Truman Castle's little heart beat faster than he thought possible. What was going on here? Was Truman Burbank really about to leave this imaginary world behind? How is that possible? How is the sun itself speaking? Truman had so many questions. Now, he don't know how he heard it. All he know was carried in the wind, like something half remembered, half imagined. The man's voice drifted down, warm, steady, almost gentle. In case I don't see ya. The rest was swallowed by the distance. But little Truman Castle knew what followed next, and he mumbled it in shock, in sheer awe, and partly terror. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Truman Burbank then stepped through the opening in the sky, and the light vanished.